Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where we give you all of the latest news in the game industry. And as you may know, Nintendo, well, they had a pretty good year in 2019, and now that we're in 2020, we can kind of go back and look at the success it had. And we got some information about how much it sold in Japan, and it saw a large increase year over year, so we're going to talk about that. But we do have some other topics today to discuss as well. Platinum Games has revealed some good news regarding Astral Chain and Bayonetta 3, Overwatch 2 may be coming in 2020, Sea of Thieves continues to be a really big success, and more, so stay tuned for all of that. First though, we will get the Nintendo news out of the way first, as there is multiple subjects today regarding Nintendo. The first of which is that yes, Nintendo Switch had an amazing year in 2019. I mean, if you go back and think about it, they released a lot of great games, and not just their first-party content, but third-party as well. On one side, you had big games like Luigi's Mansion 3, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and Pokemon Sword and Shield, but then on the other side of the coin, you had Astral Chain, which we will talk about here in just a little bit. You also had Dragon Quest XI and Dragon Quest Builders 2, and this list just goes on and on. That isn't even considering all of the great indie games that has been coming to the Nintendo Switch as well. Then you also have the Nintendo Switch Lite and the small Nintendo Switch revision last year that increased battery power for the original Switch, so yeah, it was a very big year for Nintendo, and it appears to have translated into sales as we are now hearing about their big success in Japan. And in fact, they have reportedly sold 4.5 million units in Japan, which is 1 million more than they sold in 2018. 1 million is from the Switch Lite, which goes to show you its success as well, and it wasn't even out for a full year. That is just incredible, and one thing about Japan is they have kind of been going away from home console releases in favor of mobile games, but the thing about the Nintendo Switch is its genius form factor that allows it to be both a handheld and a home console. So when you pair that with their great library, I think it is very deserving of all of the success it has had over in Japan. Let's not ignore the impact of Pokemon though, because that was a really big release in 2019. Benji here did say it sold more than Sun and Moon during the same time frame. That to me is a big achievement alone, especially if you consider all of the controversy that surrounded Sword and Shield prior to the release. He even said that it reversed the trend of declining sales for Pokemon in Japan. I actually didn't know it was declining over there, but that's really good that they have reversed that. All in all though, Nintendo Switch had a great year in Japan, and I'm glad to see it because honestly, the Nintendo Switch has been becoming one of my all-time favorite Nintendo consoles. My personal favorite is probably the Nintendo 64, but the Nintendo Switch has been incredible so far. And speaking of Nintendo and its success, Platinum Games had two updates about some of their Nintendo games. One being that Astral Chain has sold above expectations, and while Platinum Games didn't really give any concrete numbers here, I think this is really good to hear. I have seen several people kind of assume that Astral Chain was a flop or it didn't sell all that well, so just hearing that it sold above expectations is really good news in my opinion. And one thing to remember is that Platinum Games previously said that Astral Chain is the first installment of a trilogy, but we will only see a sequel depending on how much it sells, so this absolutely is very important. We still don't know if it sold enough to get this sequel, but because it did sell above expectations, I think it's very possible. I personally love the first game, and it's one of my favorite games from 2019, and if you haven't played this game yet, I do highly recommend it. Nintendo though, of course, has publishing rights for one more Platinum Games franchise as well, which is Bayonetta 3, but the thing about Bayonetta 3 is we really haven't heard anything about it for a long time. In fact, it was announced about 2 years ago at the Game Awards in 2017. Of course, fans have kind of been curious as to why they haven't really been hearing more about it, but Bayonetta game director Hideki Kamiya does want to alleviate any kind of concern by releasing this statement. First of all, regarding Bayonetta 3, there hasn't been any new information at all ever since the first reveal, so I feel like a lot of people are getting worried about it. But the inspection for new systems is going well, and the development is also progressing very smoothly. So please rest assured and wait for it. There are also many other interesting things that I want to talk about, but it's super secret, so I can't say. So there you have it. Bayonetta is all fine and good, and he even is hinting at a super secret, which I have no clue as to what that is. Platinum Games, though, does seem to have a very busy year ahead of them, though, with both Babylon's Fall and Bayonetta 3 in development. I've been hearing they may be working on more than that as well, and maybe that's what this super secret is. I mean, we could speculate on that maybe some other day. Who knows? But one thing I'm sure about is I'm absolutely very excited for all things Platinum Games. In other news, Overwatch 2 may have accidentally been announced for 2020 as PlayStation Brazil tweeted out it was coming to the PlayStation 4 in 2020, but quickly deleted the tweet shortly after. Now we could just say this is an accident, but honestly, I kind of already expected it to be coming sometime in 2020. For me, it's really a matter of when it will arrive rather than if. Maybe I'm wrong though and it releases sometime in 2021, but that has always been my gut feeling. I am, however, very excited for this because I am a big Overwatch fan and it's actually probably my favorite game from this generation. It's supposed to have a lot of new content too, including new heroes, a new competitive mode called Rush, you have upgraded graphics, a PvE story mode, and much more. And I'm sure they have even more cooked up for this as well that we may not even know yet. I will say this though, I do hope it gets released for Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 as well, and not because I'll play it on those platforms, because I probably won't. I'll stick with playing it on PC as I really prefer the mouse over the controller in this case, but I think this would be a great game for many people to start next generation off with. So far we just know it's coming to Xbox One, PC, and PlayStation 4, but I would like to see it launch side by side with the next generation consoles. What do you think though? Let me know in the comments below. Moving on, we got a new game announcement for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and the Nintendo Switch as Kentucky Route Zero is coming January 28th, and this is a big announcement, not just because it's coming to consoles, but also because it's finally being wrapped up. Kentucky Route Zero has been considered a great game for a long time and actually released its first episode way back in 2013. Then 3 years later they released Act 4, so the development was just going smooth, but then all of a sudden this game, it just vanished off the face of the earth. It took them another 4 years to finally release the final act, but here it is. You will now be able to finish Kentucky Route Zero after the 7-year-long wait, and I really have heard amazing things about this game. I've yet to play it myself because I had been waiting for it to be completely finished. This is the exact reason I don't really like playing episodic games though. I'd just rather wait until it's completely finished. Anyways though, it does release on January 28th on PC alongside consoles, and it may be worth checking out. Now the last thing I want to talk about is Sea of Thieves and its continued success, as Rare has announced it has reached 10 million players. This is really great to hear for two different reasons. One being that I think that they deserve this success, I really do. Sea of Thieves is a good game, but the other reason that I am really enjoying this is I like to see this success after all of their continued effort into making Sea of Thieves into a great game. It's no secret that when Sea of Thieves first released, it was kind of a bare bones title and a lot of people just kind of wrote it off. But the problem was not the game itself, but rather just how much content was in the game. Sea of Thieves was always a good game at its core, especially for its naval battles, which is unlike any game that I've ever played. But Rare continued to work really hard, and with every expansion, Sea of Thieves got better and better. Now today, I would say Sea of Thieves is truly what it set out to be, and it is one of the best multiplayer-driven games on the market. Granted, it does have story-based missions as well, but I'm glad to see Rare having this kind of success. I think it's so easy for the game community to just kind of write something off, especially after the initial release, but it's possible that Sea of Thieves may have been the most improved game of this entire generation. The thing is though, Sea of Thieves hasn't really been the only game that has went through something like this, as I think Rainbow Six Siege as well as No Man's Sky, they kind of were treated the same way. Really though, the Metacritic scores just does not do justice for these games. I think that they do deserve better, as they have evolved since they have originally released. With that said though, a big congratulations to both Rare and Xbox. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit that bell notification and subscribe button. Peace out.